Basket case.
This is the Basket Cases podcast, episode 15.
1-5.
I'm your host, Kevin Henderson, and with me, per usual, is my sidekick, Zach Bozeman.
That's right. In the house. Just like every week.
Just like every week. Thank you for listening and being here with us, listeners. Not you, Zach. I don't care if you're here. I'm just kidding.
No, I am aware. You're not addressing me.
So thanks for listening, everybody. We want to start it off by apologizing for the delay for this particular episode. Being it was a holiday weekend with Valentine's Day and President's Day, and Zach has a job that is certainly impacted by Valentine's Day, and we'll talk about that in our halftime segment probably.
I'm not going to give that away right now.
That's right. That's called the tease. That's what they call that.
What do I do to make ends meet?
But the best part is it's a podcast. You don't have to wait through commercials for that tease to pay off. You just got to wait till halftime.
Right.
That's right. So anyway, sorry for the delay on that. I know I should have probably posted on social media and stuff, but it was kind of a last minute thing. So anyway, thank you for being here with us. We are back, and we'll try to make sure we got an episode for you next Monday as well and get back into the regular routine.
Yes. Working out the kinks.
So let's start off with social media and email shout-outs and everything. We want to encourage you, as always, to reach out to us. Twitter is, you can follow us at Basket Cases LA. The Instagram is basket_cases_LA. The email address, which is a great way to, if you want to really get something off your chest towards me or Zach, you can write us a long
hate mail,
note. Please. We don't want any negativity. Just tell us all the good things that you like about us. We're too soft to handle it. I'm just kidding. Lay into me. I don't care.
That's what she said.
Hey-o. So anyway, so Basket Cases LA at basketcasespodcast.com. That is the email address. And anyway, I want to encourage you to review the show on iTunes or Stitcher, or like us on YouTube. We got a Facebook page. Anywhere you can. I will say this: I underestimated the amount of time and effort it's going to take to promote this show. So bear with us as I get into a social media and posting groove, if you will. It's a lot of work just getting the episode onto the interwebs every week, and Zach and I got jobs and the whole thing. This is like for fun. So bear with us. We hope you enjoy the Basket Cases, and we'll try to build this sucker up from the ground.
That's right. Let's get this show on the road.
That's right. So we got a big show for you today. Tons of topics to get to. We got the NBA All-Star Weekend under our belt now.
Good stuff.
So we got obviously some Lakers represented in Kobe's last All-Star game, and then Clarkson and Russell made the trip for the Rising Stars Challenge, and Clarkson was also in the skills contest. So we'll talk about that. We'll get into a little bit of Lakers. Obviously, the NBA is going to be a little slow right now with mostly just trade rumors since there's an extended All-Star break this season. So I don't think there's any games until this coming Thursday. So we still got a couple more days to wait. So anyway, we'll just kind of recap what happened last week. It's been a while since you've heard from us, and so still got some notes from the week in the NBA.
Recapping the happenings.
That's right. Recapping the happenings. So we'll talk about Lakers and NBA, or around the league. We also I want to dive into the Cam Newton stuff a little bit this episode, because he took a lot of heat last week about his antics post and during the Super Bowl, and his comments and whatnot. So we want to talk about that and just get into kind of some social conversation. Also, I know we've spoken a little bit about the fantasy sports debate and the news that's been going on with New York and Nevada banning it, and it's been a very big topic because fantasy sports have essentially taken over the sports world lately. And so I watched a really cool special on Frontline called the Fantasy Sports Gamble this week. So we'll just kind of present some of the ideas that were addressed in that show and see where we stand now with a little more information.
Beautiful.
We're also, a big story came out about Peyton Manning. So we're going to be talking some quarterbacks, even though football's over. As you know, football's 24/7, 365. That's why the shield is king, as they say. The NFL shield.
The Shield.
They rule all.
That was a good show.
It was a good show.
Yeah.
If you never watched The Shield, go check that one. Go check that one out.
Kev got me into that one. I don't typically watch TV shows.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
I think TV is better than movies nowadays. I mean, and that one, that's a little bit older show, but even that one kind of set the tone for the quality of TV that was going to be coming out over the next 10, 20 years.
Yeah, for sure. They're like long movies now.
Exactly. And you get more invested in the characters and stuff when you get to watch episode after episode, and you really grow attached. Breaking Bad was that way for me.
Yeah, like it really provides suspense too when you can draw it out over a week.
Yeah. But anyway, so sorry.
Anyway.
Sorry, we're getting sidetracked here. So we'll get into this big salacious Peyton Manning story that came out a couple days ago. Some kind of appalling details that may or may not be true, because these are all allegations, because that's just the way the world works in this.
Appalling.
Yeah, right. So, what'd you say? Appalling?
I said you said appalling. I said aballing.
Oh,
as a joke.
Okay. Again. No, that was just me because I didn't get it. So
Well, you'll get it.
I'll get it. You'll get it.
Just think about it.
So anyway, let's move on. So we're gonna have halftime. We're gonna have a strictly hip hop / game type thing like we like to do sometimes. And what else? We got we got a little bit more NFL stuff to discuss, and then a quick Ronda Rousey topic, which Zach doesn't know about.
Ooh.
So we'll get into all that stuff today. So without any further ado, let's shall. I beat you to it on that one.
Wait, shall we?
Anyway, if you're new to the show, typically that was a role reversal right there. So All-Star Weekend. Let's just start it off with, what do you want to start off with? How about the headline of the entire night? Let's just talk, or the entire weekend, which was, in my opinion, maybe two things. Was the dunk contest was amazing, and it was Kobe's last All-Star game. That's probably the highlight of the whole weekend. So let's just start off, because we are an LA-based show, and we love Kobe and the Lakers. Let's just start it off with Kobe's last All-Star game and talk about the game itself and the pageantry and tributes to Kobe that were made in Toronto over the weekend.
He definitely felt the love.
He definitely felt the love. There was a lot of respect paid to Kobe from his peers and from the media and just everywhere. And I thought it was well-deserved, and it was a joy to see, because it's nice to kind of see Kobe take down that shield of armor, knowing that he's not really playing for much. And I know that we have debated, whether or not Kobe should be even in the All-Star game, because based on just this year's play alone, he's not an All-Star, but he's Kobe Bryant. He's been in the league for 20 years. He's one of the all-time greatest players. And
you can't be on the team.
Right. The other guys are just going to have to wait for their turn. But the reason I thought it was nice to see Kobe get the nod and get the vote, obviously he was going to be there because it's the fans vote for the starters, but it's just simply because the Lakers have nothing to play for this year, and so it was nice to see Kobe have a big stage to play on just one more time. Even if it was a game that didn't mean anything, the All-Star game is still a big show.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's a big stage for the entire world. All-Star Weekend's a big deal for basketball fans, and it was nice to see Kobe get some recognition and respect and tributes paid to him. I know there were like 2 consecutive tribute videos to him before the game. Like, they introduced him and then they played another video. Also, the All-Star practices were televised, and I noticed that they during the West team's practice, the video board played like a tribute to Kobe, and the entire West squad stopped right what they were doing on the court just to watch the tribute video. So
balls were like, ding,
yeah,
ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody draws on the floor just watching Kobe. So anyway, I just wanted to say that I thought that was a really cool thing for Kobe to get some respect and acknowledgement. But the game itself, I think, was one of the lower points of the All-Star Weekend, because the final score, get this, was 196 to 173.
Damn.
The West took it. Yeah. So 196 points. The West almost dropped 200 points in a single game. The West shot 80 3-pointers, I believe, went 31 for 80. And you know how many free throws they took? 2. 2 free throws. Now, I'm a basketball fan. I'm a, one of the purists, as they would say, or something. I like the game that I grew up watching.
Snob.
Yeah, right.
I'm just playing.
I like the game that I grew up watching. I fell in love with the NBA watching Michael take on Charles Barkley, and then Stockton and Malone and the whole thing. That's kind of when I fell in love with basketball, and then the Lakers and the whole thing. So regardless of any of that, the point just being, you don't expect a lot of defense or a lot of real digging in on defense or any sort of hard, contentious play in an all-star game. But generally, you like to see the teams kind of keep it kind of loosey-goosey out there for a little while. Hopefully the game's close late in the fourth quarter, and then boom, you get a chance to attack and really play and get to see the 10 of the best players in the world, the best of the best of the best, really.
Yeah.
You get to see those guys go at it for a couple of minutes, typically in an all-star game. But that was not the case this year. The West came out, and the West is just deeper. They just have more great players in the conference.
Absolutely.
And Russell Westbrook from the Thunder ended up winning MVP. He was the only guy who kind of locked down a little bit when the West took their run to kind of make a little separation between the East, and he had 5 steals, 31 points. First player to win back-to-back All-Star MVPs in, I forgot, like 60 years or something. It's been a long time.
Uh-huh.
So
Awesome.
props to Westbrook. And the only other guy that really stood out to me in the game was Paul George. He was 1 point shy of getting the new All-Star points record. He finished with 41, and he was one of the more vocal guys in his expressing of admiration and appreciation for Kobe. And even after the game, he said, hey, that 41 was for Kobe, because Kobe always has taken All-Star games seriously. He always takes it as an opportunity to showcase just how elite he is on a court with the very best of the best of the best.
Yeah.
Going on and on. But anyway, he always took that moment as an opportunity to shine and say, hey, you guys think these guys are on my level? Watch this. And I really thought that was great that Paul George and Russell Westbrook they honored Kobe in the best way possible, especially and particularly in Kobe's eyes, which is just going after it. And so I thought that was awesome. So anyway, that was the game, but let's get into a little bit of the... Actually, I'm sorry. Let's finish with some Kobe stuff. So Kobe, after the All-Star game, he posted another thing on the Players Tribune, which we've discussed before, is kind of Derek Jeter's little website where he lets athletes produce their own content, get their own message out there, have their own voice. And Kobe is a regular contributor to the website, and his post was called 30 Frames, and it was basically a very short copy, basically, very short copy that he wrote, and then it was a bunch of 30 pictures, basically. And so here's what he said. He said, emotions, all weekend. People kept asking me about them. Am I sad? Am I nostalgic? Am I anxious? But I'm none of those things. I'm in a good place. I'm observing. I'm taking it all in. This is what I see. And then it followed with the 30 pictures. And in every picture, you saw Kobe smiling with little kids, signing autographs, hanging out with the guys in the locker room, talking to Popovich, having a chuckle with Steph Curry in the locker room. Just Kobe is very at peace with where he stands in life, in basketball, in the work that he's put in over the course of his career. And it's nice to see because he's, like I said before, he's the guy that has always just been so, what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of the villain and secretive, and there's myths and legends and how his work ethic and yada yada. But it's nice to see him smile. It's nice to see him embrace the love.
Yeah.
Especially from the fans and different places around the world or around the NBA that have suffered the results of his game-winning shots and whatnot. It's cool that they respect him nonetheless because they're basketball fans like us here on the show. So
yeah, and Kobe's one of the best ever.
Yeah. So very cool. And
in case everyone didn't know that.
Right.
Sorry.
And then my last thing with Kobe, this is just a quick side note, and then we'll get back into the All-Star stuff, was just Kobe weighed in on the free throw debate last week that we've had on this show a few times regarding hack a Shaq, hack a DeAndre, hack an Andre Drummond, hack whoever can't shoot free throws.
Hack a Shaq.
Yeah. And Kobe said it sets a horrible example for the youth. You just make your damn free throws. You get paid a lot of money to make them, and we just wanted to say... And that's why Kobe's MVP.
That's right. No. Professional athlete, make your free throws.
Precisely. So anyway, let's go back into the All-Star weekend. I thought the highlight of the entire weekend, aside from all the Kobe love, was no question about it, the dunk contest.
Oh.
So
woo!
Zach, believe it or not, did see some of the dunks. I showed him. But nonetheless, he is informed, and we definitely got to enjoy those dunks, and I hope you guys all out there did as well. It basically came down to a dunk off between defending or reigning champion Zach LaVine and Orlando from the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Orlando Magic young guy Aaron Gordon. Now, I thought Zach LaVine ultimately ended up defending his dunk title, and I personally thought that Aaron Gordon might have gotten kind of robbed.
Yeah, me too.
He had, I thought, probably two of the most impressive dunks of the entire contest. And, but the reality was they just went back to back to back to back with just great 50 dunks. Like 50 has the score, they maxed out at 50 points. And there was just nothing else you could really say about it. It's just, hey, man, these guys they're just incredible dunkers. They're going back to back. You can't get a 51 on a dunk. And I thought Aaron Gordon got robbed on one of his dunks, and that's why he ended up losing. But I really hope there's a rematch next year. I thought it was because when I think of great dunk contests, I think of Vince Carter in 2000, just Vince Sanity. Just the dunks that he did were just unparalleled at the time. Obviously, there's been some fun stuff like Dwight Howard with the Superman dunk, or Nate Robinson, or Spud Webb over the years. But generally regarded like in NBA circles, a lot of times they talk about the Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, and those contests. But if you go back and watch like the highlights and stuff, back then it was a bigger deal because those were two superstars, right? Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon are not superstars. Right. And Jordan and Dominique were doing like power dunks, and one thing that's cool about way back then is that they always made their dunk on the first attempt. And that was one of the coolest things I thought about this dunk contest was after Shaq, who was one of the judges in this year's contest, started giving out 9s and 8s or whatever instead of 10s because you weren't making it on your first dunk, Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine took the note and stopped missing dunks.
Made him even sicker, too.
Exactly. And it's so much more impactful when you don't get teased by a missed dunk. It's, you know what I mean? Like when you see it for the first time and it goes in, that's the way. Exactly.
Yeah,
that's where you get that reaction.
I know what he's gonna do.
Yeah, that's where you get
360 dunk in your face.
You can't compete.
Yeah, that's what it's about. So anyway, I just wanted to give some props to those guys. Those guys are skywalkers. They fly through the air. Aaron Gordon's dunks were out of control. If you haven't seen them, I highly recommend, basketball fan or not, go on YouTube and check them out. Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine, it was incredible. Just a great dunk contest.
Oh, man. I almost don't even want to give anything away.
Yeah, right. We don't have to. I mean, shoot. We're not going to, there's no way that we can describe it in a way that's more interesting than watching them do it. So go on YouTube and check it out, people.
It involves a segue. We'll just say that much.
There you go. So, with the other great event from the weekend was the 3-point contest. And I mean, basically, it came down to what we all thought it would. Clay and Steph, the Splash Brothers from the Warriors.
Getting everything all wet.
That's right. Those guys are just incredible shooters, and they did not disappoint this year either. Last year, Steph Curry won. Steph Curry is regarded generally as like the best shooter ever. I call him that regularly on the show. I just don't really think it's a debate. He's incredible. But you know who he goes up against in practice every day? His splash brother, Clay. And you know who wanted to beat him more than anybody and was the one person on earth who could probably have the faith and to believe that they could beat him?
Who?
Clay. So anyway, Clay and Steph ended up advancing to the second round. I think Clay had 23 in the first round, and Steph might have had 21. And then so Steph had to go before Clay in the second round, and Steph got 23, and he made his first 8 shots in that round, which was just remarkable, right? And so you got to be thinking, okay, Clay's sitting over there on the sideline, and he's got to watch Steph get super hot right at the beginning, and he's got to be thinking, oh no, this is just like last year. He's going to kick my butt again. And Clay, when his turn came up, did not start off nearly as hot as Steph did, but he sure finished as hot and finished with 27, I think it was, which tied Steph's winning score from last year. And now you have a new 3-point contest champion in Klay Thompson, the other Splash brother, which essentially leads us to the idea that the Warriors are ridiculous. They have the 2 best shooters in the NBA, arguably 2 of the best shooters ever. They're the best backcourt in the NBA history as far as shooting is concerned. And it was a remarkable feat to beat Steph, but at the same time, Clay probably expected it. And, his dad told him he couldn't come home, and Michael Thompson, former Laker champion and Blazers player, he said, you can't come home unless you bring home the gold. So he did. He took down Steph, and I'm sure they'll be at it again next year, or at least I hope they will be.
Yeah, one of them will win next year.
Yeah. And other highlights from the All-Star weekend would be the Rising Stars Challenge. Zach LaVine won MVP of that particular game, USA versus World. And my favorite part, obviously, was our boy Jordan Clarkson showing out, representing the purple and gold. He finished with 25 points. And, USA beat World. Team USA beat Team World.
Take that, World.
Yeah.
USA.
And D'Angelo Russell had a decent showing as well. So it was cool to see the young guys go out there and play. And this is a kind of funny thing that you haven't heard about yet, Zach. But after that game, in the post-game interviews, Jordan and D'Angelo Russell did a press conference together, like in tandem. And they were asked what it felt like to go out there and play in a game where they kind of had the... they were kind of unleashed was the way the reporter phrased it.
Right.
Obviously insinuating, Byron Scott's got those young kids on a leash, and there's a lot of drama out here in LA with Byron Scott and the way the rookies are being coaxed along in their development and yada yada. So Jordan Clarkson just kind of said, hey man, we're just going out there playing, losing ourselves in a game. I wouldn't say unleashed. And then when it was D'Angelo's turn to talk, you heard Clarkson whisper to him, and the mic picked it up, and he just said, don't say nothing crazy. So these young kids know when they're getting set up by a question. And D'Angelo has been a little bit hard-headed. Not hard-headed, but you can tell that he is disappointed at the end of games when they lose, and he feels like he didn't get enough minutes or didn't get enough opportunity to kind of run the show. Yeah. And so Jordan Clarkson is kind of watching the rookies back there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Good looking out.
Yeah, so that was a good one. And finally, for the skills challenge, that was another event that was a little different this year. As opposed to just going against the clock, 2 contestants went at a time and raced against each other to complete kind of like the little course this year for, you got to dribble through some obstacles, you got to make a pass through a hoop, you got to run down, make a layup, come back, go through the little obstacles again and make a 3. And this year, what also made it unique was the appearance of some of the big men. And the coolest thing was one of the big men, Karl Anthony Towns, the Timberwolves rookie, who's probably going to be rookie of the year, ended up winning. He beat Isaiah Thomas from the Celtics in the final round. Nice. So that was kind of cool. Definitely a different format.
He's got skills.
Yeah, our boy Jordan Clarkson, I don't know if he understood the rules or what, but it was kind of like the game of knockout, when you're a kid and you play knockout and you're like trying to shoot a shot and you don't want to have the other person's shot knock your ball away or whatever. So they have to shoot a shot on the same basket at the same time. And he kind of just let the other guy go first because he figured, if I shoot it, we're both going to. And anyway, he got a little flack by the commentators on the air for that one.
Yeah.
Whatever. He showed out in the real game, so that's all.
Yeah, it's like look what he does on the court.
Yeah,
for real.
That's the real game. That's the real stuff.
Shut up.
Yeah, man, sure. Where is it? I got it. Hang on.
All right, everybody shut up. I said shut up.
So anyway, that's the story from the All-Star weekend. What do you say we get into a little bit of Lakers real quick before halftime? So, the Lakers played the Pacers last Monday, and it was one of the ugliest games of the entire season. But the Lakers battled back. Kobe got hot from 3, which was really fun to see. You could tell he was kind of stiff the whole game. I think he said he took the rabbit out of the bag, and then the rabbit disappeared after that. He kind of shot them into and out of the game. The Lakers lost by 2. Clarkson had some foul trouble, but Randall and Russell both looked really good. And then they followed it up by getting destroyed by Cleveland. But the coolest thing against the Cavs was just the Kobe tribute. Cleveland gave Kobe a lot of love out there. So that was really the story from the couple of games. But as the Lakers have kind of gone week to week, high, low, mostly low, it was nice to see them compete really well against the Pacers.
Mm-hmm.
The last Lakers note that I have was that there's rumors that Jeannie Buss might be cleaning out the organization.
5, 4,
we'll get into that real quick after.
What time is it?
1.
It's halftime. All right, it's that time, everybody. It's halftime. So if you're new to the show or you are an older listener, just bear with me for a moment, but not older in age. You're getting younger, really.
Nice.
If you're new to the show, halftime's an opportunity we like to take to just kind of shoot the breeze, do something a little different on the show, talk current events, talk life, so you get a chance to know Zach and me a little better. So let's go with it. What do you say?
Yup.
So, what do I have for halftime here? I finally saw Straight Outta Compton,
Oh
man.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
We meant to see that like the day it came out.
Yeah, right. And then now here we are, like a few months later. Basically, my normal routine for movies. I always have good intentions to go see them, and I never do.
Yeah, I don't always have $18 to go see a
Yeah,
movie.
I'm much better when it's just on demand and I can watch it from the comfort of my couch.
Back in my day.
Back in my day, movies used to cost a nickel. And popcorn was free. Anyway.
I wish.
Yeah, so I saw Straight Outta Compton, watched it over the weekend, and I thought it was fantastic. Highly recommend it. Anybody who likes hip-hop, movies, culture, badassery, history, go check it out. My favorite thing about it was probably just the fact that it was very true to the story that I knew as just a general hip-hop fan, just kind of the story behind how the music and everything was created, Ice Cube being the guy who wrote most of the lyrics, Dre putting the beats together, and it really made me appreciate the group that they were, the time socially, the time in LA and the world in America needed NWA. I feel like a lot of injustice going on, so I thought art is a reflection of the times, and NWA was not an exception to that. And I thought it was just a really well done movie, really fun to watch. And I liked how they didn't really hold anything back. They kind of let you know, hey, Suge Knight was a bad dude like we all thought, and they kind of showed you a couple things about him. They showed, I don't know, it was really good. The acting was good. Ice Cube's son, O'Shea Jackson Jr. plays Ice Cube. And,
OJJ?
Yeah. That's funny. Somebody called him O.J. Jackson Jr. on the Grammys last night, and it's O'Shea, and it was pretty funny.
Dumbass.
I know, right?
Excuse me.
That's all right. You can say that. Anyway, good movie. Highly recommend it. Go check it out. So we touched on this, kind of hinted towards this earlier, that Valentine's Day plays a big part in Zach's job, as he I don't know if he likes it or not, but he delivers flowers, so that's probably his busiest day of the year.
Like, yes, I am a male escort. That's busiest time of year, really.
Definitely busiest.
And Mother's Day.
Mother's Day, too. Which one would you say is busier for you, Zach? Valentine's or Mother's Day?
Wow. That's tough.
That's
really, because they take up a whole couple weeks of preparation and a whole weekend of insanity.
Man.
So,
yeah.
But they're both, the paycheck looks nice.
Sure, and your shop puts out some product, no doubt about it.
It's amazing how a little tiny shop, Manhattan Beach, in their 25 years, independent joint, can have so much come out of it. It's awesome.
Well, very
good staff, great bosses, growing wild. 1201 Highland Avenue, across the street from the Kettle.
There
in
you
case
go.
anyone needs some flowers.
There you go. Hit them up.
Some high-end European style.
Tell them the basket cases sent you and you want a discount. They'll tell you, that's nice. That'll be $100, please. No. I'm kidding. But you'll get what you pay for, though. They're a great shop.
Yes, they are.
So anyway, Valentine's Day. Did you have a good Valentine's Day nonetheless? After all the work and everything was done, obviously we didn't record, so it was a little different weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was very gracious of you to.
No worries, man. I'm glad. I know it's a busy time for you.
But anyway, it was good, man. We just had some dinner, me and my lady. Kept it simple.
I hung out with my lady, the NBA.
Oh yeah.
I'm in love with her.
That's lots of ladies.
Loved her since I was a kid. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, she's cute for sure. Yeah. She's very cute.
Yeah, she's my favorite. She never lets me down. So the Grammy Awards were last night.
Boo.
Yeah, we don't care.
We don't care. We don't care. You Misfits fans out there?
I guess Taylor Swift was like the big winner, and everybody's like, "Oh, Taylor Swift's great. She writes her own music. She's the best."
How boring could the world get?
I know. Here's my thing with Taylor Swift. People say like, "Oh, if you don't like Taylor Swift, you're just lying to yourself and you're hating on women." Like, no, there's great female musicians out there. Taylor Swift, not one of them, because she's a great.
Because I don't like Taylor Swift,
and she's not even. Well, dude, I'm telling you, she represents like women to so many people. So many people look at her as an inspiration because she's a big deal and she's got 1 billion Twitter followers and she's sold out Staples Center 1 million times. But to me, it's like, if you want to call her something, don't call her a musician, even if she writes some music, because at best she's a decent actor. Because I saw her perform on Conan one time, and no, she was not playing guitar. She was faking it and not doing a good job at it. She clearly doesn't know how to play it, really. And the vocals were fake too. So I was just like, okay, I'm watching an imposter act like they're performing music in front of me. And to me, that's just not, I don't care if you, to me, it's just like, man, take a 12-year-old girl and take out her journal and put it to some simple chords And that's Taylor Swift's music. It's vanilla. Who cares?
Yeah. How many times can you hear about screen doors and ex-boyfriends and
Yeah, who gives? I mean, what? So anyway, I'm not gonna hate. I'm not
country
gonna spend
twinged
any more.
pop music?
I don't want to spend a lot of time hating on it, but it's just like, when you win album of the year. I don't even know if she won album of the year, but I think she did. What the point?
She's won lots of awards
Yeah.
for some reason. I guess we just discussed that.
Yeah,
but
and then she just goes and attacks Kanye, and they're both just crazy, and they deserve each other. I hope they get married someday.
Oh yeah, and I have a lot of.
Terrible musician kids.
Oh man, imagine what the baby would look like.
Oh.
Little shades on. And they'd probably be like 6'2".
They'd come out with sunglasses and leather pants and stuff,
Whatever.
and red lipstick.
Whatever. She sucks.
But it got me to thinking. Hey, it's the Grammys. I don't really hold any stock in award shows. I think it's all just a big show. It's not.
Remember when Nirvana won Grammys?
Right. Well, it's just like,
Remember the day.
to me, it's just like, we've talked about this before,
good.
but as soon as they nominated Sum 41, the pop punk band, for best metal performance, I decided, okay, people that don't know anything about music are the people determining who gets these awards. Why should I care?
Shout out to Sum 41, the
I don't even hate Sum 41.
hottest
Whatever.
metal band out there.
Those guys are brutal, man.
So heavy.
So anyway, I don't really hold any stock in the Grammys, but it got me to thinking. If there was, I think probably the most coveted award is Album of the Year, right? Because it says you didn't just put one song together that people liked, or they didn't just like one lyric. It's like, hey, this whole work that you put out this year, we're giving you some love. Album of the Year. So it got me to thinking, Zach, if you could pick just one album, or maybe a couple, up to you, that any artist could be dead, alive, it could be current, it could be old school, that you could just say, hey, this album, this year, props to you, Mr. Musician or Miss Musician. Who would it be and why?
I would have to say it would be our possibly homeless friend in Los Angeles right now, Mr. Sly Stone, a.k.a. Sylvester.
Okay, which album?
Fresh, 1973. Sly and the Family Stone. Funkiest album ever. I'm a guy who loves James Brown, all the, P-Funk, the old school jams, but as an album,
Can't top it.
the music, the syncopation, what all the instruments are doing, the vocal melodies, the vocal abilities, the lyrics, they're all positive and uplifting while being,
Sick music.
over
and
some
with
dirty,
uplifting-
nasty funk. Like,
I like it. I'm not the most positive lyrics guy. The only band that has super positive. I mean, I guess that's not the way to put it. I'm more of a music guy. I take lyrics secondary to music. But 311 is a band that I love that's super positive. So any band that can be badass and uplift you at the same time, to me, that's a cool thing.
yeah, and that's a good comparison. 311 to that album.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
for sure. Yeah, just that good positive without being cheesy, uplifting vibe.
Nice. I can dig it, brother.
Yep.
I didn't really. I'm sure after we record this episode, I'll come up with 100 different examples. And I didn't really think about my answer a whole lot. I just figured I'd go with whatever comes straight off the dome while we record. But I came up with kind of two examples. One's 95, I believe, and one's 2003. Can you guess what they are?
95 definitely would be Mobb Deep, the infamous.
Oh yeah, The Infamous by Mobb Deep is one of my favorite records of all time.
And
I love.
go ahead.
Sorry,
I'm sorry. No, I interrupted you.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Are you
sorry? Are you really?
I love everything about that record. The way Prodigy and Havoc, the MCs from Mobb Deep, the way they paint pictures and make you feel what they feel and go through is some of the most riveting and just organic, raw stuff I've ever heard recorded. And I listen to a lot of music, and very few makes me feel the way that album feels. And not only that, but I feel like this kind of empathy towards it. Even if we're products of completely different circumstances, I feel like we have very similar mentalities just about what we see around us and how it makes us feel. Just being, they were young guys just struggling to make it and going through some hard times and whatever. That's what we look for in music, right? Relatability.
Yeah.
And to me, just the every lyric just paints a crazy picture that very few other artists have done, and for me personally. And every lyric, every beat, those ice cold snares, the heavy bass, it's just a sick record. If you've never heard it, check it out.
It's like, yeah, lyrically, like Prodigy talking about getting set up and like waiting for it and getting everybody to get like the way he describes it.
Yeah, Trifly.
Trifly.
Yeah,
Legs froze, my blood curdled, told me to meet her on Myrtle.
Oh my gosh, so good.
It's
when
like
the slugs penetrate, you feel the burning sensation. Oh my gosh, so good.
Just the way they describe their situation, like just paints it perfectly. You're like, oh man, if that was me in that situation,
you feel them.
Yeah, you feel them exactly.
And then my other one, 2003.
I was gonna guess something by Decapitated, but then I'm like, dude, it's got to be Impossibility Reason.
Impossibility Reason. That is an album that changed my life. I've had a few that have done such a thing.
Shout out to Rob.
Shout out to Rob and Chimera. But that album right there, if you've never heard it, if you like anything about metal or anything at all musically, check it out. Incredibly impactful record on my life. I learned how to play every song on guitar. I just think it's fantastic. It was like their second major label release, and their first one kind of flopped a little bit, and so they just had this fire under their butts when it came out, and you just feel it in every track. It just comes off. That album just rages out of the speakers when you're listening to it. You just feel what they're feeling. Guitar solos are killer. The riffs are awesome. The drums are awesome. The lyrics and vocals are awesome. It's a themed concept record, I like concept records.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's just another layer that you can add to your work if you so choose.
Alice Cooper has many great concept albums.
Yeah. Rob's guitar playing, to me, it's just like, I'm not a huge lead player guy, like as far as guitar solos and stuff. Like there's very few guys who get on my list of like, oh, I'll listen to that guy play some lead work. But there's a few. Cause I love Rob. I love I think I grew up on Angus Young and Eddie Van Halen. Other ones that would get honorable mentions and stuff like that, I would say probably like Vogue from Decapitated,
Kirk Hammett
from Metallica, no doubt about it. Dimebag Darrell from Pantera.
Yeah,
like there's a few. Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine is like one of my favorite guitar players ever. But it's a short list. I'm very picky. Yeah. But to me, it's like, what's music about? Like, I don't care how fast you can play. I care about how many more times I want to listen to the song.
Yeah, these guys have their own style too.
Yeah, and I like it when you can sing back every note. Mm-hmm. You know, when people go see Metallica and they play Master of Puppets, the entire crowd goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah. Like, that's amazing. You know what I mean?
In the air.
Yeah, like to me, that's amazing. You got people singing back not your words, but your music and your melodies. That's what it's about.
People are listening.
Yeah, so shout out to Mobb Deep and Chimera. Those are two of my favorite records of all time.
Oh, yeah.
So let's move on in halftime here. Burger King is going to add grilled hot dogs to their menu.
Oh, God. Let's just make this country fatter.
So I just figured somebody out there might be interested in some dogs.
I won't be eating those. I wish I could, but
I'd rather go to Dodger Stadium for a Dodger dog.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why I threw that in there. I just heard it on the radio today, and I thought it was funny.
I've heard that Burger King is a good veggie burger, though.
Interesting.
I know.
I don't really. It's funny. Burger King is the closest restaurant to our place, and I never go there.
It's right across the street.
It's literally right across the street.
Call it a restaurant.
Yeah. I never go. I think I've been once in like a few years.
Show.
Apple is coming out with a new iPhone and iPad March 15th. That's reported by 9to5Mac. There's gonna be a new 4-inch iPhone dubbed the iPhone 5 SE and a new iPad Air. And there was only a 0.4% rise in shipments in the fiscal first quarter, and that was the slowest ever increase in iPhone sales since the phone was launched in 2007. So they're trying to do anything they can to stir up sales. For someone like me who does not like the massive gargantuan like 9-inch phones that are coming out or whatever, you can't fit in your pocket and stuff, I'm glad that they can come out with a modern phone that's the size of the old ones. So that's cool.
Real.
But
stirring up sales.
Yeah, whatever.
They should stir up soup instead.
Okay.
Soup. Noodle soup.
That's a friend's thing. Oh, what is it? Noodles. Oh, dang it. Nobody's going to get that joke except our fellow Friends fans.
And my mom, who doesn't listen to the show.
Yeah. She's got time.
Yeah. She's a nurse.
And our final halftime topic here is just about 5G, the new technology that's going to sweep the nation, Zachary.
The new technology.
Yeah, so I got an article here about 5G. It says that AT&T said late Thursday that they're going to start developing, along with partners Ericsson and Intel, that 5G technology it's gonna get kicked off in Austin, Texas before the end of the year, but it could be, years before everybody has 5G. I mean, it took 15, 20 years for everybody to have high definition. Like they always say, it's gonna take a couple of years, and it takes forever, right? But just to give you guys an example of what 5G is capable of, I thought that was interesting enough and worth talking about. 4G allows you to download an HD movie in 7 minutes. 5G will allow you to download that same HD movie in 6 seconds.
That's insane.
Yeah. So it's going to be quite an increase. And if you really think about it, I mean, there's over 1 billion smartphones in circulation in the world. Everybody's got one.
Yep.
And bandwidth and use of the phones and just videos and songs and pictures and social media. I mean, it's got to happen. They got to speed it up because we just use more and more and more, and that's just the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, good stuff in the world of tech for halftime this week.
Yes, let's hope they don't break after 6 months.
Yeah, right.
Because you're not going to be able to switch the battery out anymore. I know you haven't been able
you
to.
Still can on iPhones, right? So anyway, let's wrap up halftime. What do you say? You got anything else for halftime?
Nope.
All right, cool. So let's get back to the Lakers. I was just touching on a quick story, rumors from Adrian Wojnarowski and Stephen A. Smith, talking about the possibility of Jeannie Buss, the Lakers owner and board governor or whatever,
Headmistress.
Yeah, she might be cleaning out the organization in the offseason. They're saying potentially getting rid of Jim Buss and maybe even Mitch Kupchak, maybe even the coaching staff. Who knows? And it was just kind of interesting to think, okay, well, why and what would be the repercussions of that? And we know Derek Fisher got fired over in New York with the Knicks as the coach, and you wonder if Phil Jackson is gonna stay with the Knicks or if he's gonna jump ship and come back with his wife Jeannie and come over to the Lakers. Who knows what would happen? I don't want the one thing I definitely do not want is for the Lakers to get rid of Mitch Kupchak. I know the Lakers are bad, and I know they've been bad for a few years, but he has also, first of all, he was trained by Jerry West, one of the best talent recognizers in the history of basketball. He assembled the Shaq Kobe Lakers. He assembled the modern day, or at least contributed to the assembly of the modern day Golden State Warriors. So
that's a big deal right now.
Yeah. So Jerry West knows his stuff, and Mitch Kupchak was under his wing when he learned the job. He pulled off the Pau Gasol trade. He pulled off the Chris Paul trade, which the NBA took away. So Mitch Kupchak knows what he's doing. I think, you just don't win it all every year, and there's a lot of other circumstances with the CBA, financially, injuries that the Lakers have been plagued by over the last few years. So he's one guy I'd like to see stay in the organization. Jim Buss takes a ton of criticism from Stephen A. Smith, from Magic Johnson, from Laker fans, from radio hosts. And to me, I think he's just the scapegoat because he's the one that people know the least about. Mm-hmm. He has said some things that I've heard where I definitely didn't approve, saying some things about, my dad made Magic Johnson a millionaire or almost a billionaire and stuff. And it's just like, don't say stuff like that. Magic's an incredible talent. Yeah. He was going to be fine no matter whether your dad was around or not. Your dad might have helped him tremendously and been a big mentor and role model and teacher, but Jim Buss isn't the sharpest with his choice of words. So
all right, not too much thinking before the talking.
Yeah,
more thinky, less talky.
So anyway, that's it for the Lakers this week, and let's move on. What do you say? You want to do a little break from basketball and go over to Cam Newton real quick?
Yo.
All right, so let's do it. Newton. I'm sorry.
Nothing.
Oh. Cam Newton has taken a lot of heat in our last week. He didn't answer many questions post-game, ended up walking out of his post-game interview after losing the Super Bowl. He did not dive on the ball. I know we watched that play, Zach, where he fumbled and it looked like he could have had a chance to go for the loose ball, and he didn't. I remember watching the play in live when it happened, and I thought, why didn't he go for that? And then I was thinking, well, he had to have a reason, Yeah. And, quarterbacks are conditioned to not get touched. They wear red shirts for their entire life. Nobody's allowed to touch them in practice unless they want to get fined, So you wonder if he's conditioned to not do anything in that moment. But at the same time, it's like, man, this is the Super Bowl. This is the one game where all the rules go out the window and you got to go get the ball.
No room to be a super wuss.
Yeah, and so Cam took the loss poorly, and he's taken a ton of heat for it. Did you feel like he should have dove on the ball? Did you feel like
Yeah, the only thing I would accept other than diving on the ball would be if his ankles were weird or if he would have gotten hurt for doing it. I mean, even Super Bowl or not, but
Well, that's the thing. He
it didn't
said
really
after,
look like it.
Well, that's the thing. He said as much, and a couple days later, when he had a chance to kind of collect his thoughts, he said that his leg would have been contorted in a way. That was the word.
Can't have a contorted leg
Yeah, that's
when
right.
you're trying to play football.
So that's what he said. So whatever. We're not going to make fun of Cam, but just
Why?
well, because everybody else is doing it, and we're not trying to be like everybody else. We're trying to be like our own show.
No.
So, go ahead. I don't care really. So anyway, he said he could have gotten hurt on the play, but whatever. What I didn't like is how he said that play didn't lose us the game, and it's like, well, no, Cam, I'm not going to disagree with you that it didn't lose you the game per se, but it certainly cost you an opportunity to go win it. You're down 8 points, which is a score and a 2-point conversion. It's just like, you got to go for it, man. This is the Super Bowl.
But I think you should have gone for it.
I think he was letting his frustrations from the other bad things that were happening in that game get to him in that moment, and it just got a little too big for him. But I will say this, though. I'm sick of all the Cam Newton hate, though. I really am. I don't disagree with some of the criticisms of him. I do think, like, he had comments also after the game, a couple days after the game, where he said, hey, you show me somebody who likes losing and I'll show you a loser, or something like that, kind of like a what's the word, paraphrased rendition of the old Vince Lombardi quote or whatever about that. But here's what I'm saying. Every great athlete that has lost has had to take their lumps, and most of them handle it better than he did. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you have to enjoy losing. I think it's more about just handling yourself well in a time of strife. You lost the biggest game of your life. You're the man. You're the quarterback. You're effectively the face and CEO of one of the 32 teams in professional football. You got to stand there and take your lumps. You got to say, you don't have to be happy about it. You don't have to smile. But stand there and just answer the questions.
I know it's a Super Bowl, which is a big deal, but true colors right there.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to lose, then gotta work on that manpower a little bit.
Right. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of take some of the heat off of Cam. I think it's ridiculous. I hate to bring like race into the conversation. Everybody's bringing race into the conversation, but I just feel like there's been so many other athletes that have done so many worse things, who take way less heat than Cam has, and so it makes you wonder if there's any sort of racial tinge going on there. I mean, this is a bad example because Greg Hardy is also black, but I think it's absurd that I've heard more criticism in the last week about Cam Newton than I did in the last year combined about Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy, the Cowboys player who threw his girl after beating her up onto a bed of guns and threatened to kill her, and got on signed a contract with the Dallas Cowboys, and the Cowboys owner Jerry Jones says, oh, well, he's a leader. It's like, are you freaking
okay, that's fine.
kidding
Never
me?
thought about it that way.
It's like, how does that guy still get a job? And yet we're just completely vilifying Cam Newton because he handled losing poorly. I'm not saying handling losing poorly is a good trait to show your kids and whatnot, but raise your own kids. Don't let Cam Newton raise your kids. And Cam Newton will learn. He's 26, 27. In 5 years, I doubt he's going to handle losing the same way. I'm not saying I like Cam as far as him defending his personality and being himself. And he goes, I'm not perfect. I never claimed to be perfect. It's like, I'm not asking you to be perfect. You just got to handle losing a little bit better. You're getting paid a lot of money to stand there and be the face and answer the questions. Everybody else has to do it. What makes you so special?
Yeah.
So anyway, I know it was a tough loss. They only lost 2 games all year, and then obviously one of them being the Super Bowl. But anyway, I'm just tired of all the Cam hate.
Yeah, and I think it just has to do with because he's in the spotlight, and he's one of the quarterbacks in the most recent Super Bowl, and therefore, it's a ratings thing. Yeah. They kind of ruin other people's lives just because they can. And viewers.
We'll get into that more because I want to get over
they being the media. But anyway.
Yeah, exactly, the media. And I want to get over to the Peyton Manning story.
Oh yeah.
But Cam will learn. He'll learn. I have faith that he will.
We're not worried about him.
So there was a pretty incendiary story about Peyton Manning. I got this from the Bleacher Report, although I believe it was first reported by Sean King of the New York Daily News. And it basically said back in '96 that Manning sexually assaulted Dr. Jamie Nowright, who was serving as the associate athletic trainer for the Volunteers football program. And I'm not going to get into all the details of the article, but basically what it said was Peyton sat, on her head basically without, any undies on.
Beanbagged her.
Yeah. So, and then some. So anyway, the statement that was released came from her attorney, I believe, and so. But I didn't want to get into all the details of that particular circumstance. I wanted to kind of talk a little more globally about just Peyton Manning, celebrities, star athletes, accusations, allegations, and all that type of stuff. Peyton Manning obviously has always been on TV, basically Mr. Squeaky Clean, the golden boy, right? And I know we talked earlier on an episode of the Basket Cases about his human growth hormone allegations. And with those allegations, you don't know if he took human growth hormone, but what we dissected was just the way he was so adamant in his defense about not having used human growth hormone. Oh, I can't believe now we're getting my wife's medical history and I just can't, I'm so appalled and offended and blah, blah, blah. A shining example is Lance Armstrong. And it's just like when you protest too much, I think it does raise suspicion. Because, okay, Zach, you just cheated at your job. I saw you stole from the register. Did you steal from the register, Zach? Tell me right now.
I did not.
That's it? That's all you got to say? The money's gone, Zach. The money's gone.
I have an idea about why he was so frustrated, maybe.
What?
Either A, because he did it, or B, I can relate it to, there's this, you can see it on YouTube even, it's Method Man. Wendy Williams, the talk show host. Yeah. She made the information available that Method Man's wife was battling cancer or some kind of disease or whatever. And he got really pissed and responded in a video, and he looked mad and accused.
Okay, so you're saying maybe if it had something to do with his wife, possibly that was why he was so outraged.
Peyton, bringing his wife, his personal life into the spotlight and kind of digging at that.
Sure, and that is the route that he took, and it could be a smart one to take, and maybe that is the case.
But he also could just be doing it.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Nobody really did pry. I didn't hear about people prying into what condition his wife might have. I think more so people just kind of asked Peyton Manning about it. But the point being, now that this story has surfaced, it does, it's like, this is not the best thing I've ever heard about somebody, like sexually assaulting somebody because you're the man on campus. And there's been numerous other allegations, I think, coming out of that university for basically tolerating males acting in a way that is not very favorable to the females on the campus and the staff and whatnot. So to me, it just kind of, when you start getting not one drop, but a couple drops in the bucket, and then you start analyzing it, you think, okay, well, maybe this guy is really about his image. He goes in the Super Bowl, as soon as he wins the Super Bowl, what's the first thing he does? He gives a kiss to Papa John from the commercials, and then he goes up on his post-game interview and says, oh, man, I don't know if I'm going to retire or not, but I'm going to sure drink a lot of Budweiser beer. He's just so concerned with image and appearance. You wonder how real, or who is the real Peyton Manning. And my guess would be it's probably somewhere in between, because he does have charisma, he does have charm, he does have a sense of humor. He's been on SNL and he's funny and stuff.
That was a good episode.
Yeah, his commercials are good. And you think, also the fact that he's been in the league for so long with a pretty squeaky clean reputation, that you'd assume that he hasn't had an allegation every week that just gets covered up. That'd be pretty hard to do in today's world.
Yeah.
But the point that I really want to get to is just, we try to talk about this a lot on the show because I think it's important. People like to put athletes and celebrities on this pedestal, and then they like to tear them down when they screw up. And the reality is, athletes, celebrities, whoever that you're talking about, they're people too. And when you put them on this pedestal, the only person who really stands to lose anything, aside from them if they're emotionally unstable, is you, the fan. Because you build these people up, and don't get me wrong, I'd like my athletes that I root for, and just in general, to be good, upstanding citizens. They make a lot of money. They put on your team's colors. They represent your city. They're supposed to represent sportsmanship, teamwork, hard work, and their fans and their city well. But, when you expect that from every single person, you got to realize there's billions of people in the world. And only if you add up all the football, basketball players, and baseball and hockey players, you're only talking about 1,000, 2,000 guys or whatever. Like, it's a very small percentage of people that get to be on this level. So you're kidding yourself if you think they're all going to be saints. They're just not.
Totally.
So the only person who stands to lose anything is you, the fan. So I try to really advocate for enjoying what they do on the field. And if you don't like their personality or whatever, that's fine. Just don't root for them. But don't take it so personally, because the only person who stands to lose anything is us, the fans.
I agree. And unfortunately, there's a lot of stupid people out there who hear Peyton Manning, human growth hormones, and they're like, oh.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Instead of thinking about it, well,
Yeah.
this is a media story. Like, we don't know if this is true. We don't need to demonize this guy, especially people who aren't even like fans of football who are like, screw Peyton Manning.
And the media's job is to get clicks, to get likes, to get
That's
follows.
the sick part about it.
And not only, I mean, we had I didn't even talk about it, but ESPN had a ranking of like all the NBA players like all time, and Kobe was ranked 12th on the list. Now, the whole who's the best debate that goes on all day long in circles. I personally hate it. I think, people are people and everybody's different. And you can debate who's the best till the cows come home. But I don't think Kobe's really 12th. And they had like LeBron ranked 3. You know what I mean? And
Whatever.
it's like, but then you got to think about it. Consider the source. It's ESPN. ESPN who ranked Kobe, towards the bottom of the league the last couple of years because of the injuries, which in fairness was kind of true because of the injuries. But Kobe said, oh, well, ESPN is a bunch of idiots if they think I'm that bad. But the media and ESPN, they take it so personally. Oh, Kobe called us idiots, so we're going to just hate on him for the rest of his career and rank him 12. It's just like, think about it, really. Yeah. You got to consider the source. You got to realize that the media is just as big of a drama spreader as there ever was, and they have probably too big of a voice for what their purpose should be. Because the media's job, really, like as it started out, is to just like inform the people. Yeah. And it's become just a money generating cow, just like anything else. It's like it's just
entertainment.
Exactly. They're just trying to get their bills paid like everybody else.
Yeah, they'll ruin someone's life just so you'll watch their TV show.
Oh, absolutely, they will.
That's just like
reality TV shows, TMZ, whatever. So with Peyton Manning, and celebrities and stuff, I just wanted to say, it's more about your personal issues when you're dwelling on the shortcomings and mistakes of an athlete, because realistically, you're not going to know that guy. You're not going to know every detail that went into the situation that resulted in a mistake or whatever. Granted, we're still going to criticize a guy like Greg Hardy because there's been no denial. I've seen the pictures of the bruises on his wife. I mean, I don't think there's really any gray area there. That guy beat the crap out of his girl, and he gets to go play in NFL football. I don't think that's right.
No, totally. I mean, and when people, when sports stars or whatever use drugs and whatnot, it's like there's still mechanics involved. You still have to hit the ball. You still have to throw the football. I know it enhances your performance, but they're not beating up women. They just maybe took a performance-enhancing drug, which I don't think is right.
And Peyton
but it's like, why hate on them so much?
Yeah, and he had 4 neck surgeries and stuff. It's like, man, there's people all
Give the guy some Vicodin.
Yeah. Well, they're already getting shot up with pain and medication and stuff. And it's so funny. Like, we care so much about anybody juicing up in baseball because all those records that can be broken are so treasured in our hearts. And baseball is such a numbers sport. But in football, we just ignore it. We don't even care if somebody uses performance-enhancing drugs.
Right.
Because it's football.
We
just go tackle them.
Yeah.
And so
and maybe he needed the HGH stuff to, he's 40 now. He's had 4 neck surgeries. I'm sure those aren't the only surgeries he's had.
Right.
Maybe his body just isn't working the same way and not growing back together properly. Who knows?
Yeah. So
I just like to think about it.
Yeah. So go ahead and judge if you want to, but the only person who's going to lose any sleep over it is you.
Yeah, really, because it's
And I'm not trying to talk down to anybody here. This is just our opinion and stuff. It's I see it happen all the time. You hear it in the office. You hear it on the radio. You hear it from your friends, and it's just like, man, where does hating these players get you?
Right.
And what do you really expect from them? Do you really think they're all going to be perfect? Look at the history of time. They're not. Think about what Michael Jordan's reputation would have been if Twitter existed 20 years ago. You know what I mean? He would not be thought of as the same person that we think of him as now. He would not be.
No way.
Women, gambling, whatever, it would be out there in a much bigger fashion than it is now. And now he's retired from the league, and it just kind of gets thrown under the rug, and we go, Michael Jordan, the best player ever. So I'm just saying, like, be real, people.
Keeping it real.
Like we do on the basket cases.
You know it.
Let's move on to, what do we have? We have the fantasy sports thing, and we've got, what else? Strictly hip hop and a couple stories. Why don't we do What do you think? You want to do Strictly Hip Hop in the game real quick?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's drop it.
You want to play that game?
Oh, he wants the game music
you
today.
ready to play the game?
You wanna play that game? Back in the game now. Are you ready?
All right, so we're going to play a little game here. It's going to be strictly hip-hop oriented. And here's what I got for you, Zach. You ready? Thanks for the live snaps.
Ready. It's me snapping.
Kanye West had a tweet the other day, and he said that he's $53 million in personal debt. And then I, Googled, and he's reportedly worth like $100 million. So I don't really know where that leaves him. But that said, here's the top 10 richest in rap. Can you... And it's basically because I watched Straight Outta Compton and I started thinking, hey, Dre and Cube have done well for themselves.
Yeah, they're 2 on the top 10 for sure. Kanye probably.
So
No, not Kanye.
So here's the thing I will tell you. I don't think that you know who all these people are. And I kind of have a list comprised from a couple different sources because the numbers were a little hodgepodged and whatever. So go for it, Zach. The top 10 richest people in rap.
In no specific order, definitely Dr. Dre, Ice Cube.
Dr. Dre is number 1 with 800 million.
Jesus.
Ice Cube is actually not on my top 10 list here, but on my list, number 10 is worth 100 million, and it says Ice Cube's worth 140. So he should have been on the list. Like I said, I kind of comprise this of a couple different lists.
For sure.
But nonetheless, Ice Cube is on there. And Snoop is also not on the list, but it says he's worth 135 million.
Dang, Snoop Lion.
So there's Cube, Snoop, and Dre. Who else you got?
Definitely Jay-Z.
Jay-Z is number 3 on the list, reportedly worth between 515 and 650 million. Who else you got?
Oh, man. Eminem, for sure.
Eminem, number 6, reportedly between 160 and 210 million.
I don't know. I'm just going to throw guesses out there now at this point. Lil Wayne.
I think you're in the right ballpark with that one. Lil Wayne, number 9 with 150 million from Cash Money Records.
Sad but true.
It is sad.
Is Kanye on there?
No, he's not on here. Not listed, even though he's reportedly worth 100 million.
Right. $100 million and $70.
I'm only gonna give you like
Kanye, put that with the rest.
I'm only gonna give you like 2 more guesses because I just don't think you're gonna get these. But you should definitely get probably 2 of them out of like the 3 or 4 left.
Rappers.
Think of long career and not necessarily making a lot of music these days. Think of vodka.
I don't know, dude.
Diddy is number 2 on the list.
I was gonna guess Diddy though, but he doesn't really. I mean, I don't think of him as a rapper.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I said, it's a tricky list.
Right.
So he's worth number 2 on the list, worth 730 million. And you got any more guesses? You want me to just go through it?
Just go through them for me.
All right. So you missed number 4, Russell Simmons, between 340 and 350 million.
Okay, these are just like hip hop guys in the industry.
Yeah, not all of them are rappers. That's why I said in rap.
Russell Simmons up for sure.
Master P, Percy Miller, 325 million. Number 5. Number 7, Ronald Slim Williams. He's from Cash Money Records, Lil Wayne's label, so that's why there's a couple guys on this list from that pool of money. Essentially, he's the brother of Birdman, and Birdman's next on the list, worth his name's Brian Williams, worth 160 million. So those guys split their fortune 160 each. I don't even listen to Lil Wayne or know who those guys
Anybody
are.
out there's looking to rob somebody. These guys have a lot of money.
And then finally rounding out the list at number 10, you can guess this one: Eminem, Dre. Who's worth a lot of money in their circle?
Snoop.
We already said Snoop, though.
Yeah. In that 50 Cent.
There you go. You got it.
Yep.
He's worth 100 mil. So that's the game /
the magic
strictly hip hop for you. And yeah.
Right on. I did okay in that one.
Yeah, you did all right on that one.
Rock and roll.
Hey.
Money ain't a thing.
I mean, not for Zach. It ain't a thing, man.
No way,
It
man.
ain't a thing for Zach. He's got it.
When it comes to guessing who's got money, it ain't a thing.
That's right. Getting it is a little more difficult, but
Yep.
All right, let's
Still
get into
figuring that out.
Let's get into this fantasy sports talk. What do you say?
Yes.
So I watched this Frontline special, the Fantasy Sports Gamble, and they presented some really good points about fantasy sports and gambling and just kind of the whole debate that's going on right now in that world. Obviously, the 2 biggest names in fantasy sports would be DraftKings and FanDuel. And they basically are able to operate because of this 2006 law that got passed that essentially does not throw fantasy sports into the pool of gambling. it's exempt from the laws essentially. However, states like New York have banned it from being fantasy sports from being played in their borders, and the argument is just that it's unregulated, and unregulated gambling is bad news. Nevada, the Nevada Gaming Commission, obviously everything in their state is extremely regulated, so they also banned FanDuel and DraftKings, at least for the time being. So the New York Times was investigating, and they did all these they were trying to dig into all these offshore gambling websites, and just there's so many websites out there that allow you to, as an American, to gamble overseas and offshore and at, in places that you're not supposed to be allowed to do it. And they had things like, you shouldn't be allowed to gamble, but if you call their hotline or whatever, they'll help you do it. Like all sorts of stuff, right? So it's like a real issue. And one of the things that really stood out to me was that gambling is second only to drugs in underground and mafia like revenue. So I know we had a statistic on the basket cases a few weeks back where we basically said, hey, 91 or something % of the winnings go to about 3% of the players. It's got to be skill, right? And there is an element of skill, no doubt about it. Like, or as in Canada, they would say, no doubt about it. For basically like the idea that you put a team together and you comprised of players from different teams and whatnot, and you have your own team. So it's not just one player you're betting on or just one team you're betting on. There's a little skill involved. You got to choose your squad. And I thought Frontline did a good job. They led the show off by talking to this college student who has made 6 figures on these fantasy sites, and he treats it kind of like a job. Does it for about 4 or 5 hours a day, just hardcore research and analysis. And he makes it. He says the perfect job for him. He makes a lot of money on it. It's better than having to. He's going to get his degree in like accounting or something like that. And he said it's better than working 16 hours a day or whatever doing that.
Amen to that guy.
And so to me, it's like, hey, there are people out there that can do this, and it's good for them. And it's not gambling per se. It's entertainment and it's skill for him. So it's.
God forbid they're making some money.
Right. So let's get into all that. So first off, I just want to say in regards to gambling and stuff like that, I'm of the belief I love the 311 lyric, as long as you don't violate the rights of another, just respect the space of your sister and your brother. Like that's kind of like the way I like to live. Just like, hey man, it's very libertarian or whatever. I don't like to identify myself with any political lines because that's just not my style. If you want to know what I think, ask me and I'll tell you. That's how I live my life. But as far as gambling,
I'm a totalitarian.
There you go. I'll tell you what I said.
I'll tell you what I said.
So anyway, I did that on purpose, by the way. It was supposed to not make sense. So anyway, so that's the way I feel about it. I feel like, hey, if you want to gamble, go ahead. It's your money. You want to put yourself in the hole. But the thing is, like I said, gambling can be a very addictive thing, and it goes to show you the mafia and underground, financials or whatever, bookies, and that's the next best way to make money, second to drugs. And drugs are addictive. Gambling can be addictive for several people. So
making a lot of money quickly, that's the whole thing.
But to that point, just to kind of really push it home, I'll never forget my very first college class that I ever took. My professor at some point in the semester, he said all drugs should be legal. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. What does he mean? What's going on? And I didn't necessarily agree or disagree, but I wanted to hear him out. And he said, who is anybody to tell you what you can do to your own body? Now, I know like a lot of people like to think of the impact that drugs would have on society, and they like to make everything bigger because they think of all the problems that could happen. But realistically, it's like, hey, there's lots of stuff that's bad. Like alcohol is a bad thing as far as a lot of people are addicted to alcohol, a lot of people, whatever. But the difference is it's taxed and it's legal. You make money off of it, regulate it, and then everybody's happy. So.
And you can't, unless you're somebody in Southern California making moonshine in the backyard, you don't really make booze yourself, and therefore it's easier to kind of patent that and get it taxed. Whereas people can make crack and there's lots of things street substances and things that you could just acquire in other ways. And
but my professor's point was just like, look, nobody has to tell you to put on your seatbelt. It's your choice. Nobody has to tell you whether or not you can do drugs or not do drugs.
Giving me a ticket for not having my seatbelt on. It's like, give me a break.
Yeah. So anyway, that's just kind of where I stand from like a philosophical standpoint on it. However, there was some interesting stuff. Like Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, all these leagues, baseball, basketball, football, MLB, NBA, NFL, they all have signed deals with FanDuel and DraftKings respectively, or one or the other. So they appreciate the sponsorship, but even Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, says he'd like to see some consumer protections from these fantasy outlets because, like I said, they're unregulated. So you can stand to lose a lot if you have an addiction problem to gambling or fantasy sports. So, some people are addicts, but do we feel like it's the government's job to prevent a potential gambling addiction because some people can be addicted? I don't know. But to me, it really just comes down to the idea that, hey, the government ain't making no money on this, and they don't like that they're not making money on it.
Because they're not trying to prevent alcohol addiction. That's why it's still on the shelves.
Alcohol is legal. Cigarettes are legal. I mean, there's plenty of stuff. And so, and the argument that FanDuel makes and stuff like that is they say, hey, we're not a gambling product. We're an entertainment product. And then I forgot what the guy's name was, but the guy from New York that we'd mentioned on an earlier episode, the attorney general or whatever, he said, that's probably not his position. I don't follow politics. Don't make fun of me. But anyway, he said, yeah, gambling is entertainment. But let me look for it. He said, I'm losing it here. But he basically, he said, New York argues gambling is entertainment, but unregulated gambling is bad. So that unregulated entertainment is bad. So they're trying to think of the consequences on society and blah, blah, blah. But I'd be willing to wager all my money in my little piggy bank that it's just like, hey, if they were regulating it, meaning making money off of it at a tax level, they would have no complaints.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as that.
Money ain't a thing.
It's all about the money. You got any other insights you want to offer to the whole fantasy debate, Zach? How do you feel about it?
We pretty much nailed it on the head. We agree on that.
We do.
It's all about the money.
Yeah, I think it is.
If they're making money, they'll let you make money. If you're making money and they're not, they're going to try not to let you make money.
and round we go, right?
Dog chasing its tail.
So let's move on to the NBA. We're finally getting to some more NBA way later in the show, but I want to kind of recap the stories going on from the last week or two. What do you say, Jay?
Oh, I like it.
So in the NBA, one of the biggest stories of the week was the Knicks firing Derek Fisher, like we alluded to earlier. Kurt Rambis is... No, hey, man, Derek Fisher, apparently Phil Jackson wasn't too happy with him, getting into the whole dating pool with other NBA players. And it's just like, man, when you're the coach, you gotta kind of set the standard of integrity, and you can't be doing that type of stuff. You got to be the leader. You can't be just one of the guys anymore. You gotta be the coach.
Come on, Fish.
So Phil Jackson put this long, pretentious tweet out, just saying all this stuff about leadership and blah, blah, blah. But we like Phil, so, he's entitled to his opinion.
Bring him back.
So anyway, Phil Jackson had those comments, and we were talking about the Lakers implications earlier. So we'll see. We'll see if Luke Walton becomes a candidate for that position, being a former player of Phil Jackson's and, having a great season with the Warriors and showing his coaching abilities. But I doubt Luke Walton would go to the East Coast anyway. And like we said, who knows if Phil's going to even stay with the Knicks.
Right.
Another big story in the NBA was Chris Bosh, who obviously did not play in the All-Star game. I believe Al Horford filled his position. He's got... they said like a calf strain, I think is what they initially reported, but now I heard things about maybe blood clots, and as we know, Chris Bosh had his season cut short last year with blood clots, and it was a big scare. So Chris Bosh is like one of the nice guys. That whole Peyton Manning, Cam Newton, athletes on a pedestal thing, he's not one of the guys we got to talk about with that. Chris Bosh, just listen to any interview he's ever had. He's one of the genuine, like, nice dudes out there. At least that's the image he gives us.
Yep.
And based on that, I really hope he's okay and he gets healthy and it's not a real big, serious issue.
Yeah.
But I hear that they're afraid it could be.
How old is he? Is it a little more playing time?
Yeah, he's got some years left. I don't know his age. I don't know, 28, 29. Like he's
really?
Yeah. He's been around for a minute, but he's not old yet.
He's like in the middle.
Yeah, he's got some years left. The Clippers are reportedly shopping Blake Griffin right now. Who knows how much truth there is to that. Obviously, with the trade deadline right around the corner here, there's trade rumors just going through Twitter and the internet and the radio just nonstop. But I wouldn't trade Blake Griffin. I think when Blake Griffin's got his head on right, he's a top 5 NBA player.
Yeah, man, and he's like a commodity in himself.
Yeah, he's so
like,
special.
He brings people to the Clipper games too, just because they'll see him play. Like, I mean, not to the same level as Kobe, but
no, he's not like, a Kobe, but he's just he's a great player. He's a transcendent talent.
I don't mean playing wise, I just mean bringing in people to see the game.
Yeah, he's a superstar, no doubt about it. He's not just a star; he's a superstar.
He's a pedestal.
Yeah,
a
right.
pedestaler.
He's one of the guys that we tore down after he punched his buddy in the face, right?
Right.
So. We probably did this. After I just made this big rant, I could probably go back and listen to the old episodes and just accuse myself of all the same stuff. But whatever.
We live and we learn.
we live and we learn. We're young. Leave us alone.
We hear ourselves talk on these episodes. Yeah, we're kind of like, okay.
So anyway, he got suspended for 4 games. And after, I think that's like post when his hand heals, basically, like for the incident with Matthias Testi, the assistant equipment guy.
Must have hit that guy hard too. Broke his own hand.
Yeah,
his face.
And they're gonna give the money that he loses from missing those games to youth in LA, like charitable donations and stuff. So that's cool for the Clippers. But we'll see. I don't think they're gonna trade him. I really don't. Even if they are trying, I just don't see it happening this season.
I don't think so either.
The Warriors lost Festus Ezeli due to knee surgery. It says he's going to be out for 6 weeks, and they were removing some debris from his knee. So I just hope that
knee debris.
Yeah, knee debris. But I just hope that I mean, if it's just, I'm not a doctor, but if it's debris and it's not like repairing an ACL or something like that, maybe he'll have a chance to come back and play some more this year. We'll see. It's been kind of a quiet story, which surprises me, but I think it's just because the Warriors seem to win no matter who's in the lineup. I think they're still only
Jeff Curry.
They still only have 4 losses. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
Just gonna names.
The Kings were reportedly gonna fire Coach George Karl, and then they changed their mind. So
he's like,
in the land
you
of
guys
misfits,
suck.
Yeah, in the land of Misfits Toys up there in Sacramento. I just said Misfit Toys in Sacramento. You never know what's going to happen up there. They got, Rondo, and they got Cousins, and they got George Karl. But I guess he's going to stay with the team. Jimmy Butler is out 3 to 4 weeks with a sprained knee. He didn't get to play in the All-Star game, which was a shame. And Pau Gasol got to take his spot. And I thought that was cool to see Pau and Kobe get on the floor and play a little bit together.
Another game.
And anybody who knows me knows I love Pau Gasol. Just one of the most stand-up, classy guys. And, again, you could say, oh, that's his image and stuff. But I followed Pau Gasol pretty religiously while he was with the Lakers. And he's a humanitarian. He's a charitable guy. He's very intelligent, very, very cultured, and just a very well-rounded person. And on top of that, a tremendous talent.
It's a Spanish guy.
Pau Gasol, it's about a Spanish guy. So anyway, Pau Gasol got to replace Jimmy Butler. There's also rumors of a potential Dwight Howard trade. The Rockets got destroyed by the Warriors last Tuesday. The Rockets are having a trash season. I think their record's below 500 right now. And Dwight Howard's just the consistent malcontent, unhappy no matter where he is. And you heard rumors about the Celtics maybe trying to go after him. I think he'd improve the Celtics, but Dwight's a guy that I didn't even want him to be on the Lakers. Like, I think the Dwight Howard from Orlando is dead and gone, and we're never going to see it again. After his back surgery and stuff, it's gone. And when he was with Orlando, he can be a big clown and get away with it because he was bringing his team to the NBA Finals.
Right.
But you can't be a clown and keep losing all the time. It just doesn't. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too like that. And he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. He's got a million kids with a million different wives and stuff, and paying child support on all of them. Just,
Oh, man.
What a great guy. Way to raise your kids, I don't know how you're raising that. I don't know how you can father that many kids and with that many different women.
He's doing the old Dewey Cox.
Yeah. So anyway, whatever.
Are you sure you're mine? Playing catch.
So whatever. We'll see where Dwight goes if anything happens. But the Rockets have had a bad season. The Memphis Grizzlies lost Marc Gasol to a broken hand, and they've been poor all year. And Gasol has had a down year after signing that big contract. So you got to hope that he comes back because he's another great player. But the Grizzlies have definitely kind of had a throwaway season. The The Pistons retired Chauncey Billups' jersey last week, and that was cool. Even though the Pistons beat my Lakers in 2004, I loved Chauncey Billups and still do. Thought he was a great leader on and off the floor. Very cool cat, very composed, and a good player. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was cool that the Pistons honored him. Miami Heat also retired Shaq's jersey last week, so Shaq has a jersey hanging up in the rafters in L.A. and Miami now, and good for him. He probably has one hanging in Orlando, too. Good for Shaq.
Better. Shaq you.
The Jazz are hot right now. They're rising in the standings, and as are the Blazers. And that's going to make the last game of the regular season for the Lakers interesting because it's going to be against Utah. And you'd like to think, the Lakers are going to go out and get a win on Kobe's last game, but Utah might be playing for some playoff positioning, and they might come in and just try to stomp all over the Lakers. So something to look forward to on April 13th or whatever it is.
It reminds me of basketball. The Lakers moved to Los Angeles, where there are no lakes.
Right.
The Jazz moved to Utah, where they don't allow music.
Touching on the Lakers real quick, just because we just mentioned it, man, I'm going to be an emotional wreck in that game against the Lakers, against the Jazz at the end of the season.
Oh, yeah.
Watching those all-star videos and stuff, I'm not even ashamed to admit, man, I was welling up. I love Kobe, man. Like it's crazy. You think 20 years, man. I was like 6 when he came into the league, 6 or 7 years old. I think I was 7 maybe. But I mean, it's like been up my whole life, and it's just crazy to think, man, all of a sudden he's just not going to be playing anymore.
Nope.
It's crazy.
I'll be there for you.
Thanks, bro.
I'll be your shoulder to cry on.
I appreciate it. I'll be. Oh, man.
Are you going to finish it or should I? No.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Moving on.
The Phoenix Suns were fighting on the bench last week. That was kind of a funny little video I saw. They've had their season go down the toilet after firing Jeff Hornacek and whatnot. They've just really been on a downward spiral.
Just fire all the coaches this year.
Yeah. There's also been a lot of trade rumors about Kyrie Irving and CP3. The only thing is, I think most of that is just media fodder. I haven't really heard anything actually fruitful, like reporting-wise, come of that. But would you trade Chris Paul for Kyrie Irving if you were the Clippers or vice versa, or the Cavs? Would you trade for Chris Paul to try to take a run at the championship this year with Chris Paul and LeBron?
No.
No? Why not? Tell me.
Because I don't, Chris Paul is like kind of holding all those cats together on the Clippers anyway. It's like, why would you... as a coach, I would just leave it alone. That's what I'm saying.
I'll tell you why.
Kyrie Irving's a great player, obviously, but I would just leave it alone.
Well, think about it like this. Blake Griffin, under 30. Kyrie, well under 30. Both insane talents, incredibly athletic. You can have them for the next 5-10 years out in L.A. That's why you would do it. Chris Paul is getting older. He and LeBron are like best buddies. LeBron is the Cavaliers general manager, so he could make it happen if he wanted to.
Oh my God, that's right.
He's not really, but he is really. So, I don't know.
What would you think, Kevin?
Man. Well, here's the thing. It's tough for me to make the decision as far as like what I would do if I was in either team's shoes, because I have no interest in either team per se. If I was the Cavaliers, I would really ask LeBron, hey, who's going to take you to the promised land? And I would let him decide.
That's a good point. Because
Chris Paul, I think he and Kyrie both are like as good as it gets, really. They're great players. But the Blake Griffin, Chris Paul window is closing. I mean, they haven't gotten past the second round.
Mm-hmm.
And, Blake Griffin having this hand being broken and being out for 6 weeks and stuff, are they really going to contend with anybody this year? I don't know. And there's a big game this coming Saturday on that new primetime thing they're doing on NBA Saturdays on ABC, Warriors, Clippers. So that'll be a good indicator. I mean, no Blake Griffin still, so we'll see just how the Clippers play. I don't have an answer for you yet. I don't know if I would.
They lose.
I don't know if I would do it. I really don't.
I wouldn't do it.
But maybe if I was the Clippers, I might do it to get Kyrie, just a young player. If I don't think I have a chance at winning a championship with CP3 and Blake in the next couple of years. If I'm LeBron, I'm thinking, man, I only got a couple more years no matter what. Chris Paul's definitely got a couple more years in him, and Kyrie's got more than that. But it's really all about LeBron, and LeBron's older than Kyrie, so it's just a matter of if you want to pair him up with Chris Paul or not. It's an interesting topic, though, because you're talking about two very, very good players.
Yeah.
We want to shout out some love to Monty Williams, the Thunder assistant coach, formerly the Pelicans head coach. His wife, Ingrid Williams, died in a very tragic car accident last week. She was 44, and there was just an outpour of love for her and him and his family. I guess she was just a great woman. A lot of players said that she was like just there for them when they played for Monty.
Why is it always those ones that die tragically, right?
Because there's no rhyme or reason to it all, man. It's just life. There's going to be some advertising coming out on NBA jerseys maybe as early as next season. And I don't know about you, but I just don't like the idea of it. I think we've been spoiled having nice, clean, good-looking NBA jerseys. And now they're going to have, like, the Burger King, Phoenix Suns or whatever, like on a little patch or something. And I just...
Have some integrity.
Yeah, well, I mean, soccer, like, what the jersey doesn't say...
soccer, who cares? We don't talk about soccer on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't happen, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Nothing we can do about it.
Lame NBA. I love you, but lame.
Yeah. It's all about money, man.
I thought the T-shirt jerseys are bad enough.
No, I know. Those are horrible.
Those are awful.
Ugh.
Those are those are atrocious.
Stinking ridiculous.
Those are fudging sucky.
Couple last things here before to just wrap it up. The NFL had a thing come out last week basically saying that if you've had any sort of conviction of domestic violence, you're not going to be able to go to the NFL Combine anymore. The Combine, where they do all their athletic testing and measurements and stuff like that. Basically, like they're like, hey, if you got an issue, you're not going to be able to be here. Now, that's nice. Yeah, apparently, if you're Greg Hardy, you still get to play for the Dallas Cowboys. But I guess it's at least a small step in the right direction for the NFL. And my last point was Gary Myers, who wrote a book on Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. He's a Hall of Fame voter, and I heard an interview. He was talking last week about how Terrell Owens didn't make the Hall of Fame as a first ballot Hall of Famer, and basically his contention that he agreed with the other voters was simply that they argued he was kind of like a locker room cancer, and 5 teams had like a bad breakup with like 5 teams in his career or whatever the case may be. And I just wanted to ask you, do you feel like locker room camaraderie and things like that should have any bearing on whether or not a guy gets into the Hall of Fame as a first ballot Hall of Famer or second ballot or whatever, meaning just first chance automatically in, or they make them wait until the next ballots or whatever? Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the voters basically taking one of the best receivers the game has ever seen, and the numbers back it up, and just the eye test backs it up? Terrell Owens was a beast. Do you think it's fair that they just said, oh no, you were a locker room cancer, and so... And I don't know about being a cancer. I think that's a pretty strong word. I mean, his team's won a lot of football games.
Yeah, if it affected the way the team played, I guess we would have just seen it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think it's a Hall of Fame for your performance as a football player, and therefore, no matter what you do in the locker room, I mean,
I think here's what I think. I think it's way too tough to know all the spider webs that were going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, you just can't. That's a problem.
It's the same thing we were talking about earlier with the pedestal thing and Peyton Manning. It's like, what do you know as a fact? And those writers, I thought they're just kind of being a little too judgmental about his career. And I feel like he should have no doubt been a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I think so, yeah.
Because you think of the greatest receivers of all time, does Terrell Owens come into your mind within the first 4 or 5 names? Yes. Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. I think it's that easy.
Yep.
And finally, Ronda Rousey, she appeared on, I think it was Ellen, and she was very emotional, and she was basically recapping her emotions and the story of after she lost to Holly Holm, how she essentially said she like contemplated suicide, not like in a serious way, like she was really going to go do it, but just in a way where she was like, she was so down because she felt like nobody would care about her anymore because she was
like her identity was crushed.
Exactly, that's the exact word I was about to use. Like It was like her identity was invincible. Like that's what That's what her brand was invincibility.
That's a sign of weakness in my mind right there. You have to know you can't stay on top forever, and you got to be prepared for it.
Well, and here's the other thing, too. Now they're talking about, a rematch and stuff. It's like, man, if she just steps into the ring with Holly Holm again, Holly Holm's going to tear her apart again, I think.
Can you imagine she lost twice?
Yeah.
See that?
Well, here's the thing. I will say this. She did say then she looked up and saw her man, and she was like, oh, I need to have his babies. And she, got her head, she got her head back on her shoulders. She's
still not a DNB, though.
That's right. She ain't no DNB. Look up that video if you don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah. DNB.
But anyway, I wanted to say, we're rooting for Ronda. I don't think she's the best thing since sliced bread. I don't think she's a big villain and a big bully like everybody does. I think she's just a person. She got real big, really big, really quickly. And I was about to say real big, real fast.
Big, really big, really quickly.
Thank you, Zoolander. And cool. So anyway, we'll see what happens with Ronda and her career. I'm sure she'll be back and hopefully back and better than ever. But Holly Holm's going to be a force to be reckoned with, and I think she'll be fighting Miesha Tate coming up soon. Ooh. So that'll be a good one.
It's going to be hot.
It's going to be good. It's good. And I think that's it, man. You got anything else you want to get off your chest for episode 15?
Nope.
All right. So we're all done. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We really appreciate the love, support, constructive criticism.
The loyalty.
Anything you got, we're taking it in and we appreciate it. So, rock and roll. We'll see you next week for episode 16. And thanks for being here. And remember,
you're just a basket case.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Peace.